There is a certain kind of American who cannot stay still. They land a job, learn the ropes, get good at it, and then, just when everything looks stable, something shifts inside them. A quiet restlessness, a feeling that this is not quite it. So they update their resume, send out applications, and start over somewhere new. People around them shake their heads. Why can't they just commit? But the truth is, this pattern is not laziness. It is not immaturity. For many of these people, the constant switching is not a choice they are making with their head. It is a signal coming from somewhere much deeper. And understanding that signal changes everything. Why America is the perfect breeding ground for this pattern. Before getting into the psychology of the person, it is worth looking at the country itself. America has a culture built around reinvention. From the very beginning, the idea was simple. You can become anything. You are not locked into the job your father had or the town you were born in. You get to choose. You get to change. That idea is powerful. It is also a double-edged sword. When an entire culture tells you that you are free to be anything, it also quietly plants a seed of anxiety. What if the thing you chose is the wrong thing? What if something better is out there? What if staying put means settling? This cultural background noise runs constantly in the minds of American workers. It mixes with something psychologists call the grass is greener effect. The brain, when bored or frustrated, starts painting a very beautiful picture of whatever is on the other side of the fence. A new company, a new title, a new start. The picture always looks better than the reality of where you are standing right now. So the American job switcher is not just a person with a personal problem. They are a person whose psychology is reacting to a culture that was specifically designed to make staying feel like losing. Sign 1. They are not running towards something. They are running away from discomfort. Here is what most people get wrong about frequent job switchers. From the outside, it looks like ambition. They are always chasing the next opportunity, the next title, the next paycheck. But if you look closer, the timing is very revealing. They do not usually leave when things are terrible. They leave when things get uncomfortable in a very specific way. The initial excitement of the new job has worn off. The learning curve has flattened out. The novelty is gone. Now the real work begins. The slower, less exciting, unglamorous part of building something over time. And that is exactly the moment they start looking at job boards. Psychologists have a name for this phase. It is called the post-honeymoon dip. Every new job, every new relationship, every new chapter of life goes through it. The brain's reward system, powered by a chemical called dopamine, spikes hard at the beginning. Everything feels exciting because everything is new. Then dopamine levels drop back to normal and suddenly the job feels flat. Not bad, just ordinary. For most people, they push through. They find meaning in routine. But for someone whose brain is wired to chase that dopamine spike, ordinary feels like a warning sign. It feels like something is wrong, like they are in the wrong place, so they leave. They find a new job. Dopamine spikes again. They feel alive. And the cycle repeats. This is not a job problem. This is a brain chemistry pattern that has been triggered over and over again until it became a habit. Sign 2. Their identity is tied to potential, not to progress. Ask a frequent job switcher to describe themselves professionally, and listen carefully to what they say. They rarely talk about what they have built over time. They talk about what they are capable of. They talk about their skills, their ideas, their future goals. They live in a version of themselves that is always just about to arrive. In psychology, this connects to a concept called identity foreclosure avoidance. It sounds complicated, but the idea is simple. Committing deeply to one career path feels like closing a door, and closing a door feels like loss. So instead of going all the way in, they stay near the entrance, ready to walk back out if needed. There is also something called the open options effect. Research has shown that people who keep their options open actually feel better in the short term, more free, more in control. But over time, never fully committing to any one path means they also never build the kind of depth that brings real satisfaction. They are always a beginner somewhere, and while being a beginner feels exciting, it also means they never get to experience what comes after. The mastery, the recognition, the quiet confidence of someone who truly knows their craft inside and out. The tragedy is that potential without follow-through stays invisible. Nobody can see what someone is capable of doing. They can only see what someone has already done. Sign 3. They were taught that loyalty is dangerous. This one goes deep. For many Americans who switch jobs constantly, there is a chapter in their past that most people never see. A parent who gave everything to a company and got laid off anyway. A household where hard work was rewarded with nothing. A lesson learned early that trusting an employer is a setup for disappointment. When a child watches a loyal, hard-working adult get let go, discarded, or overlooked, the brain files that away. It creates a belief that sounds something like this. Staying loyal to one place makes you vulnerable. The only safe move is to keep moving. This is not irrational. For decades, American companies broke the old, unspoken contract with workers. Pensions disappeared. Layoffs became normal. Automation replaced entire departments. Workers watched and learned. And a generation grew up deciding that company loyalty was a one-way street. Psychologists call this adaptive distrust. It starts as a protective response to real experience. But over time, it becomes a reflex. Even when a job is actually stable and good, the pattern kicks in. The brain says, do not get too comfortable. They will let you go eventually. Leave before they can hurt you. So they leave first, always, before anything bad can happen. It feels like control, but really it is fear wearing a business suit. Sign 4. They are searching for something no job can actually give them. This is the part that no resume, no LinkedIn profile, and no career coach will ever tell them. A significant portion of Americans who cannot stop switching jobs are not actually looking for a better job. They are looking for something deeper, a sense of purpose, a feeling of being truly seen and valued, a sense that what they do matters. And there is nothing wrong with wanting those things. Every human being wants them. The problem is that they have outsourced the search. They are looking for those feelings inside a job title, inside a salary, inside an employer's approval. And every time a new job fails to deliver that deep sense of meaning, they conclude, wrong job. Try again. Psychologists call this meaning displacement. It happens when someone places the responsibility for internal fulfillment onto external things. A job can give structure, income, and even some satisfaction. But it cannot fill a void that was never created by a job in the first place. The void usually comes from somewhere personal. Feeling unseen growing up. Never quite finding where you belong. Believing that success, real, visible, impressive success, will finally make you feel okay about yourself. So they keep searching. The next company, the next role, the next fresh start. Each one promising something the last one could not deliver. And each one eventually disappointing in the same way, because the thing they are truly looking for cannot be found on any job board. Sign 5. The switching itself has become the comfort zone. Here is something deeply counterintuitive. Most people assume that someone who constantly changes jobs is uncomfortable with routine, that they love chaos and change. But the opposite is often true. The switching itself has become the routine. It has become the familiar pattern. Think about it this way. The first few weeks of a new job are predictable in their own way. New face, nervous energy, learning names, figuring out the coffee machine, impressing the new manager. It is stressful, yes, but it is a kind of stress the job switcher knows very well. They are good at beginnings. They know exactly how to navigate that phase. What they do not know how to navigate is what comes after. The middle. The long, slow, unsexy middle of a career, where growth is not visible every week and results take months or years to show up. Psychologists call this avoidance comfort. It means the brain has learned to find safety in the very behavior it uses to avoid discomfort. The job switching is not bold. It is actually the safest thing this person knows how to do. It is their hiding place. Staying would be the brave thing. Staying when it gets boring, when the shine wears off, when the manager is frustrating, when the growth feels slow. That is where actual strength is built. But the brain, wired for avoidance, reads staying as danger and reads leaving as relief. So they leave. Again. And the relief feels like the right answer. But it only lasts until the next honeymoon phase ends. Sign 6. They feel it too. And they cannot explain it. Here is the part that is hardest to talk about. Most frequent job switchers are not oblivious. They are not blissfully hopping from job to job without a care. Many of them lie awake at night with a specific kind of dread. They see the years going by. They watch colleagues who stayed in one place slowly build something. A reputation, a retirement fund, a team that respects them. And they feel something uncomfortable watching that. Not quite jealousy. Something closer to grief. They ask themselves questions they cannot answer. Why do I keep doing this? Why can't I just stay? What is wrong with me? And because they cannot answer those questions, they do what they always do. They redirect the discomfort into action. They start refreshing job boards. They start telling themselves a new story. This next job will be different. This next company will actually value what I bring. This time it will feel right. The cycle is not just behavioral. It is deeply emotional. And it is exhausting in a way that is difficult to explain to someone who has never felt it. The restlessness is real. The search is real. The longing for something that finally fits is real. They are not broken. They are stuck in a loop that nobody ever taught them how to exit. What is actually happening in the brain? When all 6 of these signs come together, a clear picture forms. The frequent job switcher is not someone with a bad attitude toward work. They are someone whose nervous system learned, through culture, through experience, through early emotional lessons, that staying is risky, that ordinary means failure, and that the next thing might finally be the thing that makes them feel complete. Their dopamine system is chasing novelty. Their threat system is scanning for danger and commitment. Their sense of self is floating, never fully anchored in one place. And their emotional needs have been quietly redirected into career decisions, which is like trying to fill a cup with a fork. The brain is doing exactly what brains do, finding patterns, following rewards, and avoiding pain. The problem is not intelligence or willpower. The pattern itself is the problem. And patterns, once you can see them clearly, can be changed. The way out is not what most people expect. Most career advice tells the frequent job switcher to be more disciplined. Make a 5-year plan, set goals, stop being flaky. That advice completely misses the point. Discipline cannot override a pattern that is rooted in emotional survival. You cannot think your way out of a feeling that lives in the body, in the nervous system, in the stories formed before you even had the words to describe them. What actually works starts with one uncomfortable question. What am I actually looking for? Not in terms of job title or salary. Something more honest than that. What feeling is missing? What need has never been fully met? Because when a person can name that, really name it, they stop expecting a job to deliver it. And when they stop expecting a job to do the impossible, they can finally make a real career decision. One based on actual fit, rather than on the hope that this one will finally fix everything. The second shift is learning to tolerate the middle. That flat, ordinary, unglamorous middle period is not a sign that something is wrong. It is the exact place where real growth lives. Every person who has ever built something great passed through that middle. They just did not run from it. The third shift is separating identity from title. Who you are is not what your business card says. And the moment that separation becomes real, not just an idea, but a felt truth, the grip of the job-switching cycle starts to loosen. But there is one more thing. And this is where it gets complicated. Because not everyone who switches jobs frequently is running from something. Some of them are building a skill portfolio that the traditional career ladder was never designed to hold. Some of them are navigating an economy that genuinely does reward movement over loyalty. Some of them are simply learning what they want, which is a process that takes time and experimentation. The question is never, is switching bad? The question is always, why are you switching? And more importantly, are you aware of the answer? Because the person who switches with awareness, who knows what they need, who understands their own patterns, who can sit with discomfort long enough to know if it is worth pushing through, that person is not trapped in a loop. They are steering. But the person who switches because the anxiety gets loud, because ordinary feels like failure, because staying feels like a trap, that person is not driving. Something else is. And here is the thing that nobody talks about. That something else, that deeper driver behind the pattern, does not just affect careers. It bleeds into relationships, into finances, into how a person handles any long-term commitment. The job switching is never really just about the job. It is the clearest symptom of something that goes much further down. Something that, once you finally look at it directly, reveals not just why you cannot stay in one place at work, but why you sometimes feel like you cannot fully land anywhere in your own life. And what that deeper thing actually is, that is a story worth telling in full.